Good afternoon, good evening, welcome everyone. It's fantastic that so many of you have been able to join us today on World ORT's latest briefing on the situation in Israel and of course how it's impacted and how World ORT are responding to the terrible and tragic events of October the 7th. We wanted to give you this update to give you the chance to hear what's going on across Israel from World ORT Kadima Mada's perspective. We have Dr. Moshe Leiba, World ORT's Chief Pedagogical Officer, to give you that overview of what's happening right across the country, how it's affecting and impacting all of World ORT's programs, and of course, how your help and support is enabling many of our students to continue as far as they can with their lives. We have Amos Gofer, the CEO and Director of Kfar Silver Youth Village, who will be giving us an update on how things are going at the youth village and how all our staff and students are there, and of course how Amos is himself. We have one of our centre managers, Dana, with us, along with two of our students from Kfar Silver, Sviat and Uriye, and it'll be great to hear some new voices from Dana and from our students as to how they're getting on at the moment. And of course, we've all been so consumed by the news, I suppose, over the last, especially the last week of hostages. Thankfully, seeing the release of so far 50 and another 10, Bezrat Hashem, another 10 will be released today. Our thoughts and prayers are with all of those hostages who are still in Gaza and praying for their safety and well-being. And whilst we're consumed with that, and rightly so, we wanted to give you the opportunity to hear from another angle how we at World ORT have been impacted and what we're doing to help our situation as far as we can. I wanted to thank everyone who's here and many of the people who aren't here today for the financial support that they've given us over the last 5 or 6 weeks. We've raised nearly $2 million of funding to help all of our programs and activities continue to support our staff and our students across Israel. And you'll be hearing a little bit more about how that money is already being put into good use to help to support all of our beneficiaries in Israel. So once again, thank you for all of your help and support that you've given, and not just financial support. I know me personally have received so many messages of support and goodwill from people all across the world, wanting to hear how they can help, wanting to learn how our friends, our brothers and sisters are in Israel at this time. And that love that you have shared with me, I've obviously shared with our colleagues in Israel, and I know that many of you have reached out directly to our colleagues in Israel as well. So thank you for that emotional support as well. It's really cannot be underestimated how far that goes as well, to give those virtual hugs and kisses at this really, really difficult time. I wanted to briefly also let you know that I had the pleasure and privilege of being in Israel 2 weeks ago, spending time with Moshe and Amos, visiting Kfar Silver and visiting our students outside of Kfar Silver as well. It was an incredibly inspiring, uplifting, and incredibly positive experience for me personally. For anyone who has the opportunity to get out to Israel and show your support in person there, I can't emphasize how much it's valued and appreciated by Israelis, from the taxi driver at the airport to our friends and colleagues at Kadima Mada and Kfar Silver to people in hotels and restaurants. It's very much needed. When I was in Israel, I spent some time one day with Amos and Moshe in Kfar Silver. That was the week that our students slowly began to return. Some of you may have seen a video that we shared on that. And to see our students coming back to school was fantastic, because there was so much joy in their faces to have this opportunity finally, having been either stuck at home or relocated around the country, or being on Zoom, to have the opportunity to slowly start to come back to school, and equally seeing in our teachers' eyes as well that pleasure to receive their students. Some of them, by the way, who were traveling from Tel Aviv or Jerusalem just to come to the youth village back to school, because that's where they've been relocated to. That was wonderful. It was also tinged, of course, with lots of sadness. We paid a condolence visit to one of the staff members of Kfar Silver, who very sadly lost her son fighting for the IDF in the days after October the 7th, who was lost. And that was a tremendously humbling experience, meeting her, seeing her resilience, sharing pictures and stories about her dear son, was a moment that I won't forget. And the second day we spent in another youth village near Netanya called Hadassah Nu'arim, which had taken in on October the 7th, nearly 60 of our students on the same day were taken straight there. Don't worry about how many, don't worry about how much it's going to cost us. We'll give them a home, we'll clothe them, we'll look after them. And I managed to visit them there. And, you know, I want to say a personal thank you to the chairperson of Hadassah Nu'arim, a lady who we met called Einat Reich, a wonderful, inspiring person who, you know, looked at our own Kfar Silver students as our own in that time. And I think Amos later will confirm that they've now been able to return back home to Kfar Silver. But to see the way that the community, civil society came together, no matter what, to support other people around the country was fantastic. And we will not forget the support that other youth village gave to our students and our staff as well, who were relocated there for 5 or 6 weeks. And it's important as well, of course, Amos building strong relationships with other youth villages as well. That was a wonderful thing. Just before I finish, I want to pay tribute to Amos and Moshe and Dana and to all of our staff in Israel for the incredible work that they've been doing in this 6-week period, picking up the pieces, continuing to work, show love and support and care for all of our students. It's really also been very humbling to see how they've worked during this critical time, and I can't thank them enough for all that they've done and that they continue to do. And just to finally, a word on resilience. It's a word we use a lot and we shouldn't underplay it. You know, World Or is a resilient organization. We are staffed with incredibly resilient, positive and inspiring staff members who do everything they can to support our amazingly resilient students in this time. And we've seen all this before in the way we responded during COVID, in the ongoing situation with the war in Ukraine. Our students, our teachers, our supporters around the world come together to share the love of the ORT family and network. It's inspiring. So thank you to all of you for joining today. I'm going to hand over firstly to Moshe, and then he'll continue to introduce the rest of our guests. Thank you all for being with us, and I'll say goodbye to you at the end. Moshe.
Thank you very much, Dan. I'll show a brief presentation about what we are doing in the past 8 weeks. It's been more than 50 days in Israel since October the 7th. We're entering the 3rd month of the war and the activities. First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody who joined us. It's very, the word may be excited, it's not correct this period of time, but I'm very excited or very touched by so many people, as Dan said, approaching us and sending their love and support, and then asking how we are doing, our students, our staff, me personally, and it's very emotional for us, and we are very touched. So what have we done for the past 8 weeks? Kadima Mada started, it took us about 3 days to kind of gather all our staff together after having a kind of emergency meeting a day after. And 3 days after, we were already, all of us, all the staff of Kadima Mada were in the field with our staff, including Dana, which will talk in 10 minutes about what she has been doing and done in the north in the past 2 months. But we've been doing in the beginning, in the first 3 weeks actually, because all the schools were out in Israel, most of the schools, we were returning to online. Actually, because we did the same thing while COVID-19 was here, and we didn't manage, actually we had less than a year after we finished COVID all around the world, so we actually had all the materials and all the technical abilities to return to online. So we did very fast. We got all our staff together. We did professional development. We reminded everyone what are the online curriculum, and we got in to all schools, evacuation centers, and did face-to-face and online activities. So what we did all around Israel, which I'll show on the map, we reached out to over 4,000 students in over 245 or 275 activities. Again, some of them were online, some of them were face-to-face. After about 4 weeks, online activities started to decrease because the school system in Israel starting to go back to face-to-face. We still have most of the schools in Israel, by the way, now are face-to-face, but there are still areas around the Gaza envelope, around the north area, and depends on the area, which are considered yellow or red zones, which school is prohibited, or like Kfar Silver, which is a yellow zone, we are allowed only up to a specific amount of students, according to the safe rooms places that we have to have the kids in, because in Kfar Silver, for example, we need 30 seconds to run to the safe rooms. We have been working and still are working in 44 evacuation centers and hospitals across Israel. These are the places in the north. Some of them Dana is working, some Merav is managing, some is Orna. We have a lot of managers in areas around Israel. And we have a lot of staff which every day are risking, again, in the past when we had the missiles attacks, are risking their lives and traveling day by day to those evacuation centers. As you can see, a lot of them are surrounding the Sea of Galilee, Kinneret. A lot of them are in Haifa and in the north, in the area of Mate Asher, in the area of the Krayot, which we have fully functioning centers. But we are.
Yosef, Maalot.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, the internet, yeah, sometimes. So, as Dana said, we are working in those areas in the north, and the center and south of Israel. We are working also in Eilat and in Be'er Sheva and in Dimona, and in Jerusalem, and in Tel Aviv, and all those evacuation centers, which, by the way, we usually don't work. We don't, on a regular basis, we don't have any activity in Eilat or in Tel Aviv, but we, as I said, in the past 8 weeks, we have been working with and collaborated with other NGOs, with the government, with the civic society, in order to bring all our staff wherever they're needed all around Israel. Some of our staff, a lot of our students are evacuated. A lot of our staff is also evacuated, Dana staff also, by the way. So we turned the lemon into lemonade, and all the staff who are evacuated, for example, Dana, which will tell she is also evacuated, we managed to have a very strong, resilient staff, and are working in the evacuation centers. They are evacuated too, and the surrounding evacuation centers. So we are spread all around the country. In terms of technical financial aid, till now we bought and distributed 64 laptops and iPads for teachers and staff who needed that, and we are continuing to do that on a regular basis according to needs who are arising from the field. We gave 14 grants, financial grants, thousands of dollars, even more than thousands of dollars, to 14 families of students and staff around Israel that, unfortunately, because of the war and because of other problems that were before, and the war actually emphasized the financial problems, we are giving them and, of course, escorting them on a day-to-day basis. In mental health support. So mental health is a very big issue. As I said, we are reaching more than 4,000 students. We are doing a lot of occupational therapy workshops, a lot of other talking, photography therapy, writing therapy, sports therapy, everything we are putting into having to do more to engage the kids, what we call hands and minds, to engage the kids in order to return to some sort of normality, but on the same area to let them talk about what they're feeling, what they're doing, to have them express their concerns. So we have more than 15, by the way, and psychological support. We have a team of psychologists, social workers, guidance counselors who are working. Only in Kfar Silver itself, and that Amos will talk, we have 108 students who are in high risk of emotional and trauma. I mean, high risk. Out of the 1,100 students that we have in Kfar Silver, they're getting one-to-one assistance from all the staff members I mentioned before, and we have 15 our staff members who are getting psychological assistance, not all the evacuees, but also those who were not evacuated. I have to say one thing about mental health and the concern. On 7th of October, I'm guessing that you know that, but I'll repeat it. The sense of security, the sense of national security was damaged. Nobody feels secure. Especially in the first 6 weeks, but even now, everybody is locking their houses, even if you live in the center of Israel. I'm not talking only about Gaza envelope or the north. Everybody is feeling insecure. The sense of trust, the sense of security disappeared, completely gone. And we have to regain control. Everybody has to regain control over our lives. And by the way, talking about it, doing therapeutic workshops, for example, like a lot of the big projects we're starting on phototherapy, on writing therapy, on sports, Krav Maga. We are starting next week a Krav Maga course, for example, with one of our psychologists. He's doing, our sports psychologist is doing a Krav Maga lessons to a lot of kids in order to regain control. We are forming groups all around Israel and in Kfar Silver of students who are starting to work as we call a security brigade. Everything to regain self-control, safe sense of safety to what they feel. So we have started, we are changing now. If we have worked for the past first 6 on what we call first aid and very sporadic activities all around Israel, like all the NGOs and all civic society did, because we were going everywhere we were needed. In the past 2 weeks, starting around 16th of November, we started to do continuous activities in evacuation center and evacuees school around Israel. So we now are working in 7 evacuation centers and schools in 5 local councils. We have from 1st to 12th graders. We are working with 344 students with 29 permanent courses. What we called, we entered an emergency routine. It was 5th of November, sorry. So we entered emergency routine, and this is what we are doing now. We are starting to work on permanent projects in evacuation center, in evacuation schools, and in our normal or regular centers. For example, we restarted to work in Kiryat Yam and Dimona centers, our own university centers. We opened 3 weeks ago, 26 courses in Kiryat Yam, 21 courses in Dimona on a regular basis. Also our kindergarten robotics, we reopened it, relaunched it 2 weeks ago, and we are doing it on a regular basis, week by week. So this is kind of regaining our sense of normality. So to finish, I'll show you some pictures. We have a lot of them. These are in evacuation centers from north to south. I can see some of the hospitals, some of the evacuation center where Dana is working, where Rav is working. As you can see, we are working in robotics, in DIY, in photography, in writing, in Arduino, in a lot of in animation, in app design, in a lot of courses. This is the kindergarten robotics that we opened for the 6th year 2 weeks ago in Kiryat Yam. As you see, all the 5-year-old kids smiling while they're trying to gain some normality in their activities. And this is in Kiryat Yam, for example, and this is in Dimona 2 weeks ago, which we started. And that's it. And I want to invite Amos Gofer, which is the CEO of Kfar Silver, to tell us what is happening in Kfar Silver in a more in-depth.
Thank you, Moshe. This is Dan. Amos, just before you start, I forgot to mention in my introduction, if anyone in our audience would like to post a question in the Q&A section, we'll try at the end to address some of the questions as long as we have time. So please feel free to add some questions into the Q&A section. Amos.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for your support to the general situation in Israel, and especially the help that you provide Kfar Silver. The war started 53 days ago. In the beginning, the situation in Kfar Silver, specific in this surrounding, was terrible. And as I told you in other briefing, for a month, more than a month, we had almost 1,000 soldiers in the youth village. 2.5 weeks ago, I decided together with Kadima Mada and Dan Green to bring back the students. And we did it slowly with the permission of the IDF and the Ministry of Education. We are limited with the amount of students that we can have because of the spaces of the bomb shelters and safe rooms that we have spread around the boarding school and the school. At the moment, we have 182 boarding school students that came back to the youth village out of 252, which is good numbers. Some of them left the country to Russia, Ukraine, Europe, about 15. Some of them are not willing to come back to the youth village because they don't want to sleep on mattresses in safe rooms. But slowly, we see more and more students of the boarding school coming back because they want all the extra activities and they want the one-on-one education that they get from school, which they cannot get in their own houses. And we believe that next week we will reach the number of 200, and after Hanukkah we will go maybe to 220, hopefully. The school returned in like 30 to 40% every day. Every day we have 2 or maximum 3 grades, which mean every day, every week, a student goes to school to frontal learning only twice a week. In the 11 and 12 grade, they are going sometimes even 3 times a week. Hopefully after Hanukkah, we'll manage to do even more. It depends on the intensity of the war and what the Ministry of Education and the IDF defined us. The spirit in Kfar Silver is strong. The staff members are in good condition. Some of them lost their dear ones, so it's obvious that they are not in a good emotional situation, but at least 97% of the staff are back working in the youth village, and they are in good emotional strength. Almost all our students came back to school. Some of them cannot because they have been evacuated from their houses. As you all know, we have a ceasefire for the last few days, so it's quiet in the youth village. And for us, after almost 50 days, hearing the jets and the airplanes and the bombs of the IDF on Gaza, all of a sudden to hear the birds again, it's something that we're not used to it. But we hope for the ceasefire to end soon and for the war to go back and for us to complete the job of returning all the hostages and to complete the work of eliminating Hamas.
Thank you very much, Amos. So as Dan said, we'll have a Q&A. So if you have any questions, please write them in the chat, and at the end, we'll leave a lot of time for everybody to answer if you have any question for Amos. So I want to invite now Dana Dahan. Dana is working for more than 5.5 years in Kadima Mada. Dana is the director manager of Western Galilee Center, educational center. And Dana herself is one of the evacuees from the northern border. She was evacuated about 7 weeks ago from her kibbutz, and she's herself working not full time. It's kind of working 200% now from the evacuation center she is in. So thank you very much, Dana, and please.
Okay. So good evening, and I would like to thank you, that Moshe and Dan, that you invited me for this meeting. Yes, it's a difficult days and time for us. I live in Kibbutz Eilon. Kibbutz Eilon, it's near Shlomi, in West Galilee, border with Lebanon. In the kibbutz, we are in about 1,000 people, and all of us evacuated 7 weeks ago. Now I'm staying in one of the hotels in the area of West Galilee because I'm still working, and it's very important to give support for the students in the activity, and I would like to explain a little bit about it. Few of my staff of the instructors are also evacuated. So no, I will start from that basically we are doing a lot of activities of robotics, animations, and DIY activities. We are working only in the evacuate center in our areas. And few of my instructors are also evacuated, so they are living in Jerusalem, for example, right now. So we found for them work and other activities. They are doing activities for the students who are there. And it's really difficult. At the beginning, it was every day they did another activities in another place with another student. As Moshe said, it's like the first aid that we are trying to give for the students. They were happy with it, but it was really difficult, and really it's not so simple to see every day another student and to be in another place and another shelters and another. But now we are giving some few activities to the same students. So we are doing some sense, and it's easier for my instructor to do that. And I can say that the students are really happy when we are coming to the evacuate centers, and they are really happy to see us and to do something with her. They're really, they make them something, they have something except the regular things that they have in the school. Basically, they don't have school every day. They are teaching in capsula, and they are studying in capsules a few days a week. So it's also not a permanent process. So I can say that students really happy from our activities all over the centers.
Thank you, Dana. What is the situation with your staff, by the way?
Yeah, so few of my staff are in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. And we just we found for them work because there is evacuation centers over there, so they are doing activities. We send them equipment of robotics and all the things that they need, and they are doing activities over there. So we found for them things to do, and they are really helpful. They're happy with it very much. And few of them, most of them, basically they are here in West Galil, but few of them, they are still working all over.
Thank you, Dana. If we'll have any questions later, we'll direct them to you. So our next speaker is Uriah Tshuva. Uriah is one of our students in Kfar Silver. Uriah is 10th grade. He's a 9th grader. Sorry, he's a 9th grader at Kfar Silver. Uriah lives usually in Zikim. Zikim is a kibbutz in Gaza envelope. Unfortunately, Zikim was one of the kibbutzim that was affected during October 7th, and Uriah is also evacuated for the past 8 weeks to Tzuba, which is a kibbutz near Jerusalem. And Uriah is one of our young ambassadors in one of our flagship programs in Israel. So Uriah, please.
Hello. As Moshe said, my name is Uriah. I used to live in Zikim, Kibbutz Zikim, but seeing as it's currently a closed military zone, I live in Tzuba after being evacuated. There isn't much to tell. We woke up, we heard alarms, we went down. Later that day, we evacuated. After that, we just lived life, did what we could to pass the time. School started. It was great. Got to meet.
Sorry, Uriah, you've just put yourself on mute, so people can't
Yes.
hear you.
Sorry.
Oh.
I've been temporarily enrolled in a different school for the time being, so I could physically go to a different school, but I do continue doing the assignments I'm given, and it's actually pretty easy because teachers are always there to support. Like, I have a question, my teacher doesn't tell me I missed a Zoom, so I can't ask a question, she just answers it, and it's great.
So by the way, but I know, Uriah, that you're because you're very interested in learning, you actually are doing both schools now, because you were assigned to another school in Jerusalem, right? Where like a lot of unfortunately evacuated students who are now being displaced in other regular schools or evacuee schools. But you're also studying in Silver in parallel, right?
Yeah, I am. Like in the morning and afternoon, I'm at that school. When I get back home, I just complete the assignments I'm given, use the books they've given me before we went to war, and just complete the material so there isn't any type of gap from what I learn over there and what I learn over here.
Great. So what are your plans for the next near future?
Settle in, meet the people that live around me, mainly. Continue to study subject I'm interested in. For example, math, pretty interesting. And just keep on going. I know I'm still part of some of the programs that the school offers me, like the YEP competition or Young Ambassadors. So mainly divert my effort into that, represent the school. Yeah.
Good. Thank you, Uriah. You're doing amazing. and I hope you'll return back home safely to Zikim.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, it's not going to be in the next few months, apparently, but hopefully it will be faster. So the next speaker, we have Sviatoslav. And Sviat is also, Sviat will tell his own story. He came a year and a half ago from Kharkov, from Ukraine, because of the Ukrainian-Russian war. And now he's in Kfar Silver boarding school. But Sviat is also will be with us in the Mexico delegation. We are taking students out of Israel on a delegation, one to Mexico, one to LA. So Sviat will be in Mexico. Thank you, by the way, to Amelie and Avi from Mexico, Amelie Ashkenazi, and to all the supporters who are helping us in doing that. Sviat, please.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Sviatoslav, and I was born and raised in Ukraine in the city Kharkov. I moved to Israel 1.5 years ago, and right now I'm studying in the program Nale. It's some kind of program to study in Israel. And my first days of war, I've been in the Ashkelon, and it was kind of scary basically because we woke up because of the alerts. It was 6 o'clock, and we just didn't understand what is happening. But we moved to our shelters, our safe room in the apartments, and we're sitting there for about 1.5 days. And after that, my uncle came to Ashkelon and took me home to the Hulon. And that's how my period of the war started, basically. The first week, we didn't have any lessons, but I was in connect with my home teacher, with my instructors from the Kfar Silver. They were asking us, what are we doing, where are we, and all this kind of stuff. And week after this, we started to study. It was online meetings in the Zoom. The lessons were started at 10 o'clock, and it was going till 2 o'clock, I guess. And it was basically lessons just that we can have. It was math, English lessons, Hebrew, history, and civic as well. And I was just trying to do some stuff, just not to be bored and not to think about the situation that we have in the country. Because as for me, as a person that lived my home country because of the war, being the second war in my life, 42 years, it was kind of hard. And I was just trying to do something. I went for a walk with my dogs and doing some stuff like trying to do a gym at home, like some exercises, I don't know, like jumping or running at home. That's it, basically. And yeah, and this week I came back to Kfar Silver. I saw a question about the shelters, and the answer is yes. That's an instruction from the RIA services. We can come back to Kfar Silver. We can stay at our rooms. As you can see, I'm in my room right now, and probably you saw some people that were walking here.
During the day you're in the room, during the night you're in sleeping in a classroom together, 30 students, right?
Yeah. We have some shelters there, and
so I just want to say because again, Kfar Silver is in a yellow zone, and you have to be 30 seconds from a safe room. So the only condition that schools like Kfar Silver can operate is that boarding students who are sleeping has to sleep in a safe room. And a safe room that you can sleep are only safe rooms or our classes. So now actually all the boarding schools are sleeping inside the classrooms, which was renovated. Good, thank you that, it's a good thing that they were renovated during the summer. So, right, Amos, and students can actually spend the nights together in those classes. I just told Sviat that I'm not envious of him sleeping with other 30 guys in one space. Reminds me of the army. Yes.
I would like to emphasize that point. 2 weeks ago, I had to make sure that all the students and volunteers that they sleep during the night in a safe room. Only a few days ago, I got the permission from the IDF that the students can sleep in a classroom next to the safe room, and to make sure that everyone can enter safely the safe room in the middle of the night within less than 30 seconds. So it's a little bit more comfortable this week. If last week they had to sleep, as Moshe said, 25 to 30 students in a 60 or 70 square meter safe room that we have in the school, that were renovated with the big project that we did in this summer with the Ronson and ORT project. This week we are more lucky, more fortunate, because we can sleep next to it. So they are sleeping 15 to 20 students in each classroom. It's still not comfortable, but we see a lot of confidence with the children, and to see our students, even though the conditions are not easy, that they prefer to come and be in Kfar Silver, means that the staff are doing good things, and that the students feel at home. As they said before, during the day, they are allowed to be in their rooms, of course. We want them to be in their rooms to feel home. But during the night, it's impossible to go from their own bedrooms to the big safe rooms. This is why we cannot take any risks about it.
Thank you, Amos. And Sviat, please continue. We interrupted you. So what are you all doing now in the past week?
Yeah, I firstly wanted to say that firstly, I was thinking about shelters as it's not a really good idea. But since I came to Kfar, since I came back to Kfar, I found out that it's kind of funny, and you can see all your classmates and like spend time with them, and yeah, it's not as bad as I thought before. And right now, basically, we are trying to come back to our regular schedule at school. We have some lessons. We are waking up at 8 o'clock, moving back to our bedrooms, yeah. And we have like 1 hour to get prepared for the school, like wash your face and everyday stuff. After that, we have a breakfast, and we are moving to the lessons. We have still like we have 4 lessons each day, and the school is over at 2 o'clock. We are having lunch, and then we have extracurricular activities such as MMA, football, like painting, everything you want, you can do it. And actually, I guess everybody from you knows that we have a Hanukkah, and like next week, and we're preparing for the Hanukkah, and we are making our own Hanukkah for each group in the Kfar, and we're working on it, just thinking about the ideas, trying to find some materials for it, and yeah, trying to come back to our regular schedule and enjoying spending time with the people, because like I guess you can understand that if you're sitting at your home and just cannot leave it for almost 2 months, come back to a regular schedule and see your friends that you haven't seen for 2 months, it's really nice.
Thank you, Sviat. And I just want to say, because I saw a Q&A and also a question about it, and then I'll pass on to Dan. The delegations we are taking out, I mean, we started working on that actually 2 weeks after the war started. Students we have all around Israel, of course, and in Kfar Silver in particular, we have, for example, in Kfar Silver, we have 56 students who are in the first victim circle, meaning they lost someone or friends, lost meaning murdered or kidnapped during the attack. And we have a lot of students who are suffering from acute trauma, some trauma. There's a huge scale of being traumatized. As I said, we have students who are have a lot of other problems who have heightened because of the situation. And so we are taking students on delegations to the US, to other countries with the assistance of other ORT schools around the world. The next delegation will be in Mexico in January. We are taking 11 students out of half of Kfar Silver, half of the other centers in Israel. We are building now a delegation to LA, to our partner, De Toledo School in Los Angeles. We are working with ORT America about it. We are interested in taking more delegations to the US to be hosted by the Jewish community and to work with the Jewish community in order, again, to have stress alleviating aspects. We are taking therapeutic staff with us. For example, to Mexico, we are taking one of our consultants to LA, probably one of our psychologists. So they're going to undergo kind of building the sense of self-esteem and sense of security in those communities, Jewish communities. And I think it's very good to strengthen our ties in this, especially in the Jewish world, which we know that not only Israelis are being under attack, but the entire Jewish world is being under attack now. And I think this is a good time to have a joint support in the form of mutual delegations, especially, it's very hard to send delegations to Israel now. And that's it. Sorry, Dan, now we are back to you.
Thank you very much, Moshe. Just to quickly address a couple of things that are already in the Q&A. Our friend Larry Cadis asked about funding that's come in from the JFNA, the Jewish Federations of North America, which thankfully we received. Again, we often have their incredible support. We received another significant donation to help us in our programs and activities at this time. In Israel, it's specifically earmarked for educational and psychological support programs. Other funding has been earmarked or ring-fenced already to help in security aspects, specifically around Kfar Silver, as soon as the time is that we're able to address those needs. But it comes to another question I wanted to address to Amos about the safety and security in Kfar Silver. What practical steps have you had to put into place in the last 6 or 7 weeks, given the security situation, to ensure that our students, more than 200 boarding students have now come in? You obviously mentioned they have to sleep in classrooms next to safe rooms. What other kind of security measures have you had to put into place in the last 6-7 weeks to look after our staff and students in Kfar Silver? You're on mute.
Sorry. As you mentioned, we understood, like Moshe said before, that everything has changed. Until 7 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, we were afraid of rockets. Rockets, we understand today, are dangerous, but they don't make a huge threat to the safety of the students of Kfar Silver. We are more concerned about someone entering the village. We have today 9 of our staff members that lives in the youth village that went to the, they call it Pikud HaOref, I don't know the words in English. It's a part of the military that is responsible for the civilians measurements. And we signed on long rifles, M16, M4, and we are practicing. We went to shoot in a range, and we are in a constant connection, and we make sure that in each time, at least 4 or 5 of us are sleeping in the youth village. We made a safe room for the ammunition and rifles. We are now working on making more cameras around the fence and securing the fence more. And hopefully we will never need these measurements. I was on a Zoom meeting just before this Zoom meeting. In less than 8 months, in less than 8 weeks, only in the southern part, in this area, they made 120 groups in different villages and kibbutz of 8 to 12 people that are carrying rifles and that are trained with the military in order to protect the civilians. In the future, we will have to restore more safe rooms in the houses, but also a big safe room in the middle school, because one of the problems we have today is that we cannot teach enough students every day because we don't have enough safe spaces. Hopefully, when the war in Gaza will end, I'm talking from my heart, and I think everyone thinks the same. We won't need those safe rooms, and we won't need these fences, and we will do it only for the day-to-day basic. We will build a safe room, and in the day-to-day, it will be classrooms. But in time of needs, we can still use it. But the way we think then completely changed. You visited Kfar Silver 2 weeks ago. We went together to see the Iron Dome. We went together almost to the Gaza border. After Sderot, you saw all the tanks and the military, and you understood. Only when you come to this area of Israel, you understand how close Kfar Silver is to the border. Uriah, by the way, lives in one of the most beautiful places in Israel, maybe in the world. Zikim is a beautiful kibbutz facing the beach, the most beautiful beach in Israel. My favorite one. I was supposed to go with my family on the 7th of October. It was Shabbat. We were supposed to go and have fun like we have every Saturday in this beautiful beach. We always used to walk almost to the border with Gaza. This is something that completely, also as someone that spent almost his entire life in the IDF, this is something nobody could even imagine, something so horrific. Uriah, I feel he doesn't want to speak about it, but in Zikim, they heard the terrorists outside of the fence. In Kfar Silver, we heard the rockets. We heard things from a distance of 8 miles. Uriah heard it in maybe 200, 300 meters from his house. Moshe mentioned before, in every class in Kfar Silver, we have a student or two, sometimes more, that someone of his family is a close family or distance family died, murdered, or kidnapped in the war. And this is a huge issue. I think after a week, we started giving them therapy. This is a part of the security that you spoke about. Security is not only about fencing and building safe rooms. Security is about the mental and emotional strength. And I think that the things that Moshe Leiba, who is a psychologist, and social workers and the therapists are doing with the help of everyone in World ORT, this is more important for the strength of Kfar Silver, to give the tools for children like Uriah and his friends that had to go through something so disturbing, to give them the tools to go on with their lives, to make it in life, to solve things. It's a big issue. We have students from Netiva Asara. We have students in the boarding school that lost, a student that lost his father. So at the moment, he's not coming back to school, of course. This is a huge issue. We have a student from Sderot that his house was bombed with a rocket. He left with his family to France. I spoke to him last Thursday, and I plead him that we want to give him a psychologist treatment and help, and we are going to help him. Hopefully, we have very, very difficult stories, and I feel that the best strength that we can give is through the emotional system, and it's going to take a lot of time. The war is going to take a few months. We will have to be patient with the students and the educational system. And only when the war will end completely, we will manage to gather all the system and move on. I myself am very optimistic, Dan. I have to tell everyone, all our participants, that I know for a fact that Am Yisrael Chai, I know for a fact that Kadima Mada, World ORT, are giving all the support and emotional help that we need. And I know that my staff and I and the students are going to go through this obstacle and go to the other side stronger and do even better.
Thank you, Amos. That's really well said. I really appreciate your words there. We're determined to finish on time in the next couple of minutes, so I just wanted to wrap up with a few final words. I think the comments of Moshe and Amos there have largely answered most of the questions that we received. A couple of other angles that one I noticed when I was in Kfar Silver, and one that I know from the network I wanted to share with you. It's a kind of a secondary matter, but it kind of signifies the help and support that Kfar Silver is giving to Israeli society. When I was there, of course, many of you know that Kfar Silver has a farm, has a large collection of different animals, farm animals and more exotic ones as well. And Kfar Silver is one of the places that has received animals, farm animals, from those kibbutzim that were attacked and whose owners, whose inhabitants of those kibbutzim rather, were either killed or have had to leave and been displaced and move around the country. And of course, what do you do with all of the animals? Well, more than 200 turkeys are currently in Kfar Silver at the moment, and other assorted small animals as well that are being looked after by the couple who look after all the animals there. Just a small detail I wanted to share with you. The second thing from the network I wanted to share is that there are a large number of schools across the network in Mexico, in Argentina, in Spain, in Italy, right across Europe, who have taken in Israelis, nothing to do with the ORT network in Israel, but just Israelis who have left the country at this time, hopefully temporarily, but have come to us to ORT to look for a home for a new Jewish school to put their kids in and to stay with whilst they're outside of Israel. And I want to thank our network, and again in this way, for stepping up and supporting unquestioningly those families and those students who have joined our ORT network at this very, very difficult time. I think at the beginning in Amos's introduction, he said something quite simple but really powerful when he talked about the ceasefire, the Hafsakat Esh that we've had for the last 4 or 5 days, that thankfully he can hear the birds singing again, a noise that we often take for granted that has come back to us. And thank you, Amos. It left an impression on me that hopefully that the sound of the birds will continue every single day, and that we pray that all of our hostages will come back safe and well. All of our soldiers will come back safe and well. And Am Yisrael Chai to all of you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for your support. The support is still needed. Please continue to give as generously as you can. The donate button is now in the chat. Please continue to help and support, because the needs are long-standing and will be going forward into the future. We appreciate all that you've done and all you continue to do. Take care and God bless. Thank you.